A very good morning to you and welcome to Global Morning, a time where we have fun together, we entertain ourselves together, we learn, and we have all of the information that we need to run with, right? It's actually a very beautiful Sunday morning. In fact, this is the last Sunday in January 2026, and as usual, I'm not alone in the studio. I have my colleague Sadia Yakubu, who is back to join us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being on the program.
This one you're calling me ma this Sunday morning. There is something behind it.
Let's keep it professional.
All right, good morning and thank you very much. Good morning to all our viewers around the world. My name is Sadia Yakubu Yahaya and welcoming you to the weekend edition of Global Morning. Ubong Usoro, how has it been?
All right, it's been amazing. At least we had yesterday to rest, and that was quite amazing. I know you took some time out to sort out some things.
Yeah,
it's also good to see you back.
Thank you very much. I missed you though.
Right, I missed you too.
All right, let's go back. Let's go for a quick short break, and when we come back, we'll start with newspaper review as usual.
Absolutely. All right, so welcome back. This is where we get to look at the papers and have information, get to understand what is going on and the major stories making rounds around Nigerian papers, and just get to run with all of this information, make better decisions, get more informed, and know what to do going forward.
All right, and the first paper to begin with this beautiful, wonderful, lovely Sunday morning is the Sunday Punch news paper. Sunday Punch news paper. Our lead story saying 2027. ADC crack asks obedience demand presidential tickets.
All right, that's the lead story on the Punch newspaper. Other story says Kudirat Abiola, Lagos under fire over botched murder case. Is on page 5 of the newspaper.
All right, we have still on politics. Second term, Fubara, Kano governors battle uncertainty, and that's on page 3 of the Sunday Punch newspaper.
All right, just below that particular story Sadia took, there's a story that says NCAA probes viral video of Air France passengers clash.
All right, we have inside the routine estate of Western Adrian's last premiere. That's on page 24 and 25.
Okay, another story says, I married my husband within 4 months.
All right, we have another story saying Mega Goya factory. Churches can't detect fake anointing oil, Bishop tells NAFDAC. And that's on page 5 of the Sunday Punch.
Okay, another song says, wellness, not wealth, the new power. It comes from Thames and Arya Star's mom.
Obi or nothing, mindset threatening parties' unity, chances. Abdullahi, we are only marketing our candidates' obedient movement.
Okay, also on that particular newspaper, there's a picture story beneath that you see the deputy Senate president, you see the minister of interior and some other persons on that particular picture story.
And our next newspaper for today is Sunday Independent newspaper.
All right, so Sadia, walk us through what's the lead story saying?
The lead story, terror financing, Nigerian's dark underbelly. And then we have a picture of Nuri Badu. And then under it, we have ADC slams opposition over decisive politics, calls for united front. Page 5 of Sunday Independence.
Okay, IMF draws flank over FG economic policies. It's on the headline of the newspaper.
And then last story from me, from the Sunday Independence. Medical experts lament epidemic of negligence, say it's national health crisis, calls for urgent national health care reforms.
All right, so before we move from the Independent newspaper, I'd just like to talk about this terror financing that we're seeing. It's becoming, here there are no convictions yet, but the name calling is quite disastrous to Nigeria as a nation, because we are seeing very prominent people in power who have been called out. Remember, the finance minister in Bauchi State has been called out for terror financing. We've had former Attorney General Abubakar Malami has been called out for terror financing by the EFCC, and we are also seeing him having cases with the DSS. So for me, because over time we used to hear a lot that there are lists of people. In fact, some Nigerians on social media will be calling the government, publish the list, publish the list.
Yes.
So I think if there's anybody who is sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria, it is grossly unpatriotic, it is inhuman, and it does not show love for country, because we know these terrorists do not have brothers. They don't have, when they come to attack, they have no brother, they have no sympathy, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian.
They don't care.
They don't care. They waste people's life. And these are people that could have contributed immensely to Nigeria's population, especially in the rural area. Most of these guys were farmers. People can't farm again, right? A lot of persons are now in some persons are in camp. How do you call these people? IDP camps. Are people who had homes, who were doing very well in where they were contributing to the economy of the nation. So you see the multiplier effect is that we now have rising food prices and all of that. So I think this is a good one. If the government is sure that anybody is sponsoring terrorism, no matter who the person is, the person should be prosecuted.
Yeah. But do you think that person would be prosecuted?
That's another question, right? But away from just Nigeria, there's an international treaty which Nigeria is a party of, which the world over is concerned about terrorism, because terrorism anywhere is terrorism everywhere. Right? It's not just about, it could be in Nigeria, but you hear them shouting death to America, you hear them shouting, those who started in Nigeria, we see them in Niger, we've seen Boko Haram at the time, we're launching attacks in Cameroon. So it's not about your country. So people are more interested. So I feel there should be more pressure on the Nigerian government to make sure we have convictions at the end of the day. That is what we saw. Because I tend to believe it now. These guys, these are ragtag people. They don't have formal education. They can't operate on that level if they're not sponsored from. So now, I'm not saying anybody is guilty. But if there are people who are high up there, whose children are not part of this thing, but they are using it to destroy lives and destiny, they should be prosecuted for it.
All right, so walk us through the next newspaper.
All right, so the next newspaper that we'll be looking at this morning is, let's actually look at, okay, so we do the Tribune newspaper. The lead story on the Tribune says health workers impasse. Labour joins, threatens nationwide strike. We are working in penury. Adekunle Lagos Jehesu chair, that's the Joint Health Union of Health Workers. Federal government urges striking health workers to resume work, says it is ready to resolve issues with CONES and others. Okay, CONES is actually the payment system that is used to pay health workers.
All right, and next story, terrorists, bandits don't deserve amnesty, General Sura. That's on page 13. It says Nigerian military has what it takes to deal with terrorists without external interventions.
All right, Awuj alleged to Fasi Yusuf, others urge Ogun government to probe corruption allegations. The story is on page 6 of the newspaper.
All right, oil exploitation, Ipokia indigenes demand clarification on exact approved sites. Ogun government says oil will improve state's economy. That's on page 4 of the Tribune newspaper.
Bajamia Miller calls for legal backing for power rotation is on page 22.
All right, decisive remarks will undermine our chances. ADC cautions supporters of Atiku, Obi, and Mechi, and page 4 seeks postponement of FCT election over Ramadan.
JAMB to accredit 924 CBT centers for 2026 UTME.
How I achieved perfect 5.0 CGPA despite being a worker, and that's on page 20. Unilag's best graduating student reveals.
At this point, I want to stop and just say congratulations to the Unilag best graduating student. A 5.0 perfect CGPA, if without being a worker, is difficult.
Yeah,
without being a worker, talk more of working and studying and getting that kind of. I'm not even interested, because some people say in which department. I'm not even interested to know the departments, right? Yeah. But just having it in a federal university, right? It shows a lot of commitment. It shows a lot of passion. It shows a lot of desire to sit down, study, put your mind to it, avoid a lot of things, just be focused on academics, and we must make it worthwhile, because if there are no incentives for people who graduate top of their classes, a lot of persons will not want to put in the work.
Exactly.
So this guy should be celebrated. In fact, I want to appeal to the federal government. Should be given he should be given an appointment letter to work in the presidency. He deserves. We need people with to have a first class. I know sometimes I didn't get a first class, right? So I know sometimes people trivialize and just say, is it not? But we have to be careful. We have to play our biases out and to say the truth. It's not easy to have a first class, especially in a federal university. If it's private university, I could understand that what you deserve is what you get. Yes. But in federal university, there are so many factors that guy. So to have in university, let me not even ask about the course. I think it's great. He should be given employment from maybe not even federal civil service, presidency, office of the president, not at least office of the vice president. Yes, because if we have this kind of thing happen with our federal university, Nigerians all over the country, they know that once you have a first class, especially a perfect 5.0, not 4 point something. 4 is good, but if you have a first class of 5.0, that you get a job in the presidency. Don't you think our students will be more serious?
They will.
People who used to... let me stop.
They will, but then do you think they can grant him that chance or the opportunity to work there?
Those that they are granting.
How sure are we that those there even have 3 point something or 4 point something?
No, that's the problem.
Talk more of bringing in 5 point something. Let's just leave that.
No, but we have to advocate, Sadia, because we are speaking. We mold opinions, right? Yeah. We mold opinion, and we have that power, the power of the media to change narrative. And yes, sometimes we speak and it looks as if nobody's hearing, but sometimes people are hearing. If the president is hearing us now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the guy that graduated with 5.0 CGPA from University of Lagos, deserves to work in the presidency. Nothing more, nothing less. That's my advocacy.
All right, let's move straight, or let's dive to the next news paper, Sunday Sun.
All right. Go ahead.
Sunday Sun and leads the 2027 session battles in states. Months to party primaries. Silence conflicts brewing in Ogun, Nasarawa, Borno, Lagos, and others.
Chikwas Okore, governors defecting to APC may be unable to help Tinubu's 2027 ambition. I'm still wondering how Southeast governors, others promising president votes, will do. It's on page 20 and page 21 of the Sun newspaper, Sunday edition.
All right, still talking politics. How we aborted Obasanjo's third term bid. That's on page 22 and 23.
Okay, even though Obasanjo said he never had a third term bid, but let's keep that for another time. Killed days to his wedding, Abia community in turmoil over brutal murder of youth leader. It's on page 5 of the newspaper.
And this is coming from my state, and which, I don't want to shy away from it. It's heartbreaking, but then I don't have a choice. Bandits, but there's 7 farmers in Niger, 2 missing, and that's on page 5. Kebbi police nab three suspected kidnappers, recover weapons.
All right. Urban regeneration in Lagos about future, not punishment. Commissioner Adlebiusu.
My upbringing taught me not to shy away from standing out. Nwandu.
You're not shying away. You're not shying away at all. No, you're not shying away. But let's leave it at that. I don't know why you're looking at me. What do you expect?
I know you now. You are my friend. I know you. When you are saying something, and I know what that thing means. I know. So don't argue.
Let's look at the This Day newspaper, guys.
All right.
The lead story says Bajamia Bila, Nigeria's survival is unstable. Global economy depends on national unity. Says prolonged disunity heightens nations' exposure to economic and security risk.
Your resignation, a betrayal of sacred trust. Kwankwaso and NPP tell Governor Yusuf Kano APC reserves membership card number 0014 Yusuf. Kwankwaso, January 23rd, is bold betrayal day.
I saw this yesterday.
I watched the video myself online when he was making that announcement. I was like, of all days, should we pick this day?
Because he was betrayed.
Because he was betrayed.
Now,
words. I don't want to go deep down into issues like this. I don't like political issues, but then sometimes you can't shy away from them. He, the Kwankwaso in the person, has betrayed some people before. This is politics. Abba has his own right to go to any party he feels like, so long as before leaving his former party, he had no issue with his boss, that is a Kwankwaso or whosoever is there. Maybe he didn't backstab him. That's just the important thing. Kwankwaso was once a PDP member. He was also once an APC member, all right, before he came back to NNPP. Even before the APC, PDP, I believe he was in other parties. He has been there before. So if Abba now chose to leave NNPP for APC, to me it's fine.
Are you related to Abba?
I am not related to Abba. I am not related to Kwankwaso either.
But I just feel, like you said, you've made a very valid point. Very, very valid point. And I see it that way too.
Yeah, so
but I believe our Nigerian politicians should learn lessons by now, because this template has failed over time.
Yeah.
You bring somebody, you expect the person to be with you all through the time. It has failed. The only place it has not failed is Lagos.
Yeah.
That's the only state in Nigeria that has maintained that template.
So what's
even
the
with
issue all about?
Nyesom Wike, somebody as vehement as Nyesom Wike, Efubara has been having issues with him. So just do your best. If you are recommending somebody for an office, recommend the person, support the person, and forget about
being in one party
and thinking
forever.
the person will be. If the person decides to stay loyal to you all the rest of his life, fine and good. But don't so that you don't have blood pressure. And that's
too much of expectation. He expects Abba to be with him in the NNPP forever. Abba is just a human, and he is a politician. All right. So to me, I don't see anything bad or worth celebrating as tagging it a World Betrayal Day.
Are we supposed to celebrate World Betrayal Day?
I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. Let's go back to many years where His Excellency Kwankwaso left PDP. Did you hear anyone saying, let's celebrate that day as a World Betrayal Day? No.
Well, I don't think it's a day to celebrate. I think it's a day to cry. I think it's
anything worth celebrating there. But then maybe to some extent, he feels pained.
Of course he is.
Yes, he feels
this betrayed. Is somebody, yes.
Someone he trusted, right. Looking at the other side of it, someone he trusted and least expected him to move from. And even if he wants to join another party, to him, let it not be APC. Maybe because he has been there before. Or to some personal reasons.
He himself may also join APC. There are talks going on. We are not sure.
So to me, I think they would have sat one-on-one
and
resolve things.
Right.
If they want to move back to APC together, let them do it together.
Right.
And if Abba is choosing to go to APC alone, let him go. Still maintain your position as his political godfather.
Right,
not coming out and then start saying and this journalist brought up the issue. Jaffer. He was the one that brought up that issue that this 23rd of January should be celebrated as World Betrayal Day. And then he now quoted what Jaffer said and said, okay, fine, let's declare that day.
You really know a lot of Kano politics. I'll have you on Big Talk one of these days. So talk
Not
Kano politics. All right, guys, let's still look at other stories that we have this morning, still on that particular newspaper. Other one says, at $46.0 billion US, Nigeria's foreign reserve hit highest peak since 2018, strengthens forex buffers. And private sector credits dropped by 2.8% to 75.8 trillion naira. There's been a lot of economic numbers improvements in Nigeria so far.
All right. U.S. Congressman commends Nigerian-U.S. Security Cooperation to protect religious freedom. And that's on page 5 of this day newspaper.
Okay, so let's check our last newspaper for this morning. And that will be the last paper that we'll be doing this morning.
The Nation.
All right, so the Nation newspaper. So there was the lead story.
Ribadu. Religious violence attack on Nigerian states. Says protection of Christians, Muslims, others non-negotiable. Nigerian U.S. joined forces against insecurity.
Another story says Forum of Former Legislatures endorsed Tinubu for second term. Okay, congratulations.
7 feared killed as terrorist attack. Oh my God, Niger community.
Wujale probe corruption allegations, stakeholders urge Ogun governor.
Early rain, NIMET warns farmers against planting drinking rainwater. That's on page 2.
Stop strike, federal government pleads with Jehoesu, and that's the last story from me.
And that's also the last for today.
Oh, okay, so back in the studio now. Thank you so much for staying with us as we looked at the papers, and thank you so much, Sadia, for coming on the program.
Thank you, Ubang, sir. My pleasure.
Okay, so we'll go for a short break, and when we're back, we'll go into our first segment as we look at housing. How is it affordable for Nigerians at the moment, and what is going on when we talk about housing in Nigeria? Stay with us. We'll have our guest immediately after this break.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning.
For the latest issues,
Always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
All right, welcome back to the program. This is still Global Morning. My name is Ubong Osoro. Joining me this morning on the program is my friend and brother Adamu Suleiman, who is a co-founder Housing Matters Community, who's joined us this morning in the studio. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ubong, for having me. It's a pleasure to be in the studio today.
You know you are my boss now. Okay, so we're talking housing development and making housing affordable for Nigerians. And just on Monday, I went on the streets of Abuja to ask people what about their rent, and when we talk about what is going on as regards rent prices this January, a lot of the persons I spoke to mentioned that they're having maybe 20% increase in their rent payments. The rentals have gone up. A lot of persons complaining that the house rent prices in Abuja seem to be skyrocketing at the moment. So let's talk about housing. How affordable is housing in Nigeria? You work with companies, you work with corporations that offer housing intervention. What are you hearing and what can we do? But let's start, what is going on with the housing market, especially in Abuja at the moment?
Okay, thank you very much for having me. Let us, before we be able to discuss this topic, there are certain things that are happening within this sector, but we must be able to define what affordability in the housing sector is, so that we will know if what we currently have is affordable or not. If you look at according to United Nations UN Habitat, they said you must not spend more than 30% of your earnings on shelter.
Is it
so
your monthly earnings?
Yeah, whatever monthly earnings. Now, if you spend more than 30% of your monthly earnings on housing, on shelter, it now becomes unaffordable. Now, let me break it down to the Nigerian scenario. Let's use 77,000 minimum wage. So if you remove 30% of that 77,000 minimum wage, what do we have? I think we have, that's about 21,300 thereabout. Now, the question you should not ask yourself is there anywhere in Nigeria, in Abuja, Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt, where you pay 21,000 naira for rent?
For a month.
For a month. Slightly not, probably maybe in slums and all of that. Now, if you multiply that 21,000 naira times, let's say, okay, what you want to do it in a way that, okay, you want to pay mortgage. Let's say a house, a 2-bedroom is 22 million. That is even more than that in some cases. Probably you don't want to rent. We've broken down the rent scenario. Now you want to build. Let's say you have a budget of 22 million and you earn 7,000 naira in a month. If you multiply it, divide that by that, you are going to, if you be removing 21,300 from your monthly salary, if you divide it by the number, that's going to give you, it will take you 952 months for you to be able to afford 22 million. That 952 months is like 79 years. So how affordable is that? If it takes you 79 years for you to be able to afford a property of your own, and if you were 25 before you got an appointment before you became an adult, if you add 79 to 20, you are almost at the receiving end of your life. You're almost going. So these are some of the structural things we need to define. With this analysis I've just done, affordable housing has become a mirage in Nigeria. And if we want to really tackle it, we have to tackle it from all angles.
All right, so let's talk about tackling it from all angles. There are different scenarios. Some persons have pointed saying, okay, affordability is because we don't have local production. Some persons have said it's because government has abandoned housing totally to investors and property developers who are driving up the price. Some persons have also talked about the fact that we lack a capacity to manufacture most of the raw materials needed for building. What do you think is the one factor that is really driving the rent prices up all over Nigeria?
There are two major factors driving the rent crisis in Nigeria. There are just two. Number one is raw materials. 80% of construction materials are imported. Secondly is our land tenure system. It's too. Let me give you an example. Our land tenure system needs to be streamlined in a way that everybody can access land so that they can build housing. If you don't solve a problem by making land contributes to about 40 to 50% of the ingredient needed for housing. You don't build houses in the air. So now the current process of getting land in Nigeria is too cumbersome and is too enmeshed in corruption. You want to get a land for you to be able to build. If you don't know somebody that knows somebody, if you are not in the good books of the person, the governor, and in the case of Abuja, the minister, if you don't know somebody, you can't get a land. And for you to even get a CFO, you still have to play politics with it. So we need to have a system that is seamless, where we can apply for most of those things online, and these things will be available. If we have a seamless process of land allocation devoid of internal politics, I think we'll be able. We have addressed about 30% of this housing deficit. Don't forget, Mr. Obon, don't forget that we have, as a country, we have close to about 30 million housing deficit. And in other African countries like Kenya, Ghana, Uganda, South Africa, they have lower housing deficit, and they are tackling most of these things heads on. So we cannot be having 30 million housing deficit and our land administration system is archaic. The Land Use Act that was enacted in the 70s does no longer serve the current needs of our country. It needs to be revisited. I'll give you an example. Don't say, oh, we've had intervention. We have about 30 million housing deficit. No jokes about that. That's huge. What is largely contributing to this is the massive urbanization, massive rural-urban migration. A lot of persons are moving to Abuja, they are moving to Kano, Port Harcourt, Lagos to seek greener pastures. But these cities are now under pressure. So we have more demand than supply. This is what is driving the prices up. And another thing is that there is no town planning. For these cities are congested. Okay, let's have infrastructure linking the city centers to satellite towns for easy commuting. People will be able to live even outside these cities like it's done in other developed world and work in the central area. But you can't in Nigeria. So these are some of the issues that are contributing. And another thing that is contributing is this problem there's so much alienation from the part of state government. Everything just rests in the tables of the federal government. No, it shouldn't be like that. You remember in the 70s, during the time of the former governor of Lagos, Jack Conde, he did massive housing. The Jack Conde estate in Lekki and some other, it was done by the Lagos state government. And how did they achieve that? The Lagos state government set up a mortgage for workers. So they were able to access these properties, had a rent-to-own arrangement, and they moved in. But today, you would even have some states that have not built close to about 5,000 housing units in the last 5 years, and you want to solve this massive housing deficit we are facing. It's not just by flowering words. We need to have action. We need to have actionable plans. We need policies that are implementable, and we need new, vibrant ideas or young people that can drive this process.
Right. So one of the other things that I've noticed across town was that if you move across Abuja, you see a lot of houses, you see a lot of estates that are uninhabited. Nobody's living in those places. They are completed. Some of them are at 80%, some of them 100% completed, but nobody's staying there because people cannot afford maybe to off-take those houses. And I even feel that some of those houses are not built with the people in mind because, like you mentioned, rural urban migration. People need studio apartments, but you rarely even see studio apartments. You keep seeing a 3-bedroom duplex and all of that. Let's talk about it. Developers, property owners, not just doing it because we want to do a 45 million apartments, 50 million apartments. How can we have, because in other places you see it could just be a whole estate that is majorly just studio apartments for young people who are just starting off life. They could get maybe studio apartments, 1 bedroom, but here you see a lot of the estates that are in town are 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom, and a lot of people cannot afford it.
Oh, well, I'm a young housing advocate, I myself. But I don't have a property of my own that I have built, but I've inherited lands and some other things from my parents, and I bought some with my own personal money. I'm unable to proceed to build because the mortgage system in Nigeria is one of the highest in the world, more than 30%. If there's no way people can afford these properties.
But there are some single-digit mortgages.
In Nigeria, I'm not talking about MRF and National Housing Fund. These ones are majorly for people within the formal sector. And even with those ones, the NHI, MRF, I bet you no working Nigeria that earns less than 200,000 that can still afford this mortgage. Because if I earn 200,000, for example, monthly, and I spend close to about 800,000, 80,000 to pay a monthly mortgage, how much is left for me to feed with this inflation? How much is left for me to commute? How much is left for me to pay, if I'm married and have kids, to pay children's school fees? So a lot of Nigerians cannot afford it. Even with the law, with the single that, but if you want to go to the private mortgage system, it goes as high as 30%. Now, what we should do to enable younger people to own houses is the government need to be deliberate in its policies. It's not only people who are into the manufacturing sector that you give tax breaks and tax holidays. You need to give tax breaks and tax holidays to developers. You bring them to the table and tell them, okay, we want you to build 50,000 housing units for low-income earners, for young people who are just living in NYSC, one-bedroom condo apartment. We give you the free land. We are going to provide the infrastructure there, roads, electricity, security, perimeter fencing, and all you need to do as a developer is for you to come in and build according to this specification. You must build a one-bed. Don't build more than a one-bedroom condo. These are for these categories of people. And when you do this, we are going to give you certain incentive, certain, a lot of them will do that. But when a developer wants to build a house in Abuja, an estate in Abuja, and it goes to get land from the appropriate government agency, and you are telling him to bring 500 million, 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion. In most cases, 5 billion for a land that is not we that manufactured it as human beings. So all of those costs is calculated. So when the developers now feel that, okay, I've gotten this land after bribing so many people, I've gotten this land, I got this land after paying through my nose, he will no longer build little houses for people who will not pay more. His own idea is to make profit. He now start building mansions, 10-bedroom, semi-detached, 5-bedroom duplexes for these higher categories of people where he can easily recoup his own funds, money and be on the right side. Don't forget, these developers, they pay salaries, they pay taxes, and all of those sundry costs. So they need to meet up. So I'm not blaming them, but I believe that the government need to bring them to the table and give them their plans and say, okay, we want this in the next 10 years. We want about 100,000 housing units for social categories of people, 300,000 housing units for social categories of people. If you buy in, we provide the land, we do this, we do that for you people, create the infrastructure, and we'll give you some incentive. I believe that thousands of them will follow the plan.
Right. So, okay, so we've stated the fact that, but let's talk about the government building. We've seen with the Renewed Hope Housing Scheme, there's one at Kasana, there's one in Kano, and in different places where
in Ibejuleki, in Lagos,
where the government is trying to do it, because some Nigerians are also complaining that it seems the government has totally abandoned housing for developers who are, like you mentioned, businessmen. That if the government were, it would be easy to regulate the prices, it would be easy to moderate the prices, because if, for instance, government comes up with 100,000 housing apartments and say that giving it for 5 million naira, and those are same apartment developers are giving for 45 million, you crash the market, because they will want to make sales, they don't want to keep it for so long, and they got, so are we looking at, let's say, the government and coming in and crashing that particular market? And also, I'm asking two questions now. We've seen some organizations like international organizations all over the world who are so interested in housing, and we've seen them give support to some developers, some housing agencies, just to see the housing is made. Like you mentioned, housing is a human need. It's not something that we should debate about. We should, as a child is born, the government should be planning, where is this child going to stay? But sometimes we even hear stories that there's a lot of corruption in the system, that some of these funds are given are not actually utilized for what it's supposed to be. So I'm asking two questions. Can government do the housing themselves and see how to crash the prices, let it coexist side by side? And number two, let's talk about corruption in the housing sector.
If we want to talk about corruption in the housing sector, we will not live here. But I feel government should create an enabling environment for the private sector to come in and thrive. You know, see, let me tell you, for example, government does not have the money to solve Nigerians' housing crisis. What they can do is regulate it properly.
Developers have the money.
Yes, yes. Developers have the money because they don't have competing needs. The government have competing needs. Developers' money, the one he has is to build houses. The one government has is to provide rail, health, education. So there are competing needs on the aspect of government. So what government should do is create an enabling environment for private sector to solve this problem. But it's unfortunate that our government is not doing enough. I'm not saying they are not doing anything at all, but they are not doing enough. I'll give you an example. Let's talk about the renewed hope that you just mentioned. We have renewed hope in Kasana here in Abuja. We have in Kano. We have in Ibejuleki in Lagos, and in some other locations. How many Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, that earns less than 150? I don't even want to use minimum wage of 77,000. Let's use 150,000. How many of them can afford a 2-bed in renewed home or a 1-bed in renewed home? 1 bed in renewed home costs around 22 million thereabout. So how many of them can afford that? Now, what is the process? In Kenya, they have this what we call the Boma Yangu. They have this their Boma Yangu plan. Kenya has already built more than 100,000 housing units. They are doing another 500,000 next year, and before 2029, they intend to do another 500,000. Now, how are they doing it? It's not a rocket science. They have a website where their citizens will go to, enroll there, pay contributory housing money there. Like for me, I might be a mechanic. My income might fluctuate. Sometimes 77,000, sometimes 300,000, depending on my. So they go there. They enroll at bomayango.com. Then they contribute monthly for their housing, and right on the website too, they will choose the projects they want to get, and they start contributing towards it. When that project is available, the government signifies them, okay, the project you are paying to is now available. Who provides that particular house? Is the private developers there. The government now provides the lands, provide infrastructure within this estate. Private developers just come in and build. Then the houses now become affordable to an extent, because the developer is not spending billions of money of Kenyan shillings now in terms of Kenya to procure land. If I, as a developer, for example, because I work in the industry, and if I want to build a house, I don't need to pay millions and billions to get a land. The government provides land, provide infrastructure of the land, do perimeter fencing, and just ask developers to come and build. Do you think the prices of houses will not crash? Of course it will. So these are some of the issues. Now the second question is the corruption in the system. Nobody wants to address that, because Nigeria as a country is largely built on what we call there's a way I want to put it that no matter how a policy is on paper, there are people that will want to compromise that policy at the implementation stage. And we are still seeing that in housing. Before you get a land, you will bribe. I'm saying you would pay money. You will know somebody that knows somebody. Before you get an approval, a building approval, you will bribe. It doesn't say well of us as a serious country who wants to, address housing deficit. So by the time we remove all of those encumbrances, streamline the process of land allocation, remove every corruption within that process, try as much as possible to even demystify the need for you to meet somebody physically before you get an approval. If we digitalize most of those things to be online, reduce human interference, I believe that we'll be able to curb corruption and strengthen this process, and it will imply translating to affordable houses for Nigeria.
I'd just like to add, we are dealing with our passport systems, because just some months
exactly.
I went to get my passport, did everything online, just went for capturing. And after a few days, I went back and picked up my passport.
And you didn't pay a bribe. But in some cases, in 2012, when I got mine, I had to pay extra for me to be able to get it. But now that the passport system is digitized, you can see, you can attest to it. So we can do that again for our land allocation processes and even building approval process.
All right. So which of the groups are most affected in this housing crisis that we've established that we have? Is it the low income or the middle income earners?
The group that is mostly affected is the low income earners and young people from the ages of 20 to 35. This particular set of people they're affected, And if you look at it now, most people, most of these young people, it's not that they are not thriving. They are thriving. Somebody who is 25 receives 300,000 naira monthly as salary. You cannot tell him to come and buy a duplex in any location in Abuja. Obviously, he can't. Okay, if he now said, okay, I want to get a condo apartment or a one-bedroom apartment or even a two-bed where I can stay, he won't be able to afford the mortgage. Even the government mortgage, the MREF, Ministry of Finance, Incorporated Real Housing Scheme, the NHF, of 6 to about 7%.
7%.
It's not affording. Younger people can still afford even when you earn 300K. You are going to be spending close to about 100,000 to 120,000 monthly to service your what is it called? Your mortgage. By the time you remove 100,000 from 300,000, that's about 200,000. Now ask yourself, how many people even earn 300,000 within that age bracket? Very few. So it's not sustainable. The thing we should do to address this thing is we need to start empowering our manufacturing sector so that we can produce most of the things we use in building, aside cement, wood, and some other things. We are not producing enough local materials needed for construction. That's a major. By the time you import, you bring in from other countries, you are incurring extra costs. So what the government should do, I love what the Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Architect Dangiwa, is currently doing, setting up clusters for people to come and be, setting up factories for building materials, providing incentive for them. That's the way to go. So by the time we have these clusters in at least each senatorial district 109, and they are giving them tax breaks, they are giving them electricity to produce more, our reliance on importation of building materials will drop, and it will translate into affordable housing for Nigerians.
All right. So one of the other things have been mentioned that could help us, scale through this problem is having systems that will make people not really want to stay in the city center, right? Where people could stay in Kuje, because predominantly we will still look at Abuja. I don't know what are the rent prices, but the last I heard, you could get a studio apartment for maybe 1.2 million. You could get
as high as 2 million in some locations.
All right, that's but in places like Kuje, Gwagwalada, Buhari, and all of those other places, you can still do it for 500, for 200, some even as low as 200,000. So some persons may want to stay there if the systems were there. Are those things that you are looking at in your advocacy, talking to government? Not everybody should stay anywhere in the world. City centers are expensive, right?
Everywhere in the world.
Right. I know of a content creator who was born in the UK, is from the UK, but left the UK because he was trying to get an apartment, and I saw this online apartment for £7,000 in Bulgaria. So they bought it in Bulgaria and went with a caravan, with his wife, his family. When there's a lot of fixing definitely has to do, because if you want to get those kind of apartments in London, you'll be talking about thousands of dollars, right, or thousands of pounds rather. But he got it in Bulgaria for 7,000. That's like, let's just say 7 million naira or thereabout. So you see where the city centers are more expensive, but you move towards Birmingham, you move towards Bournemouth, you could see the prices can now come down a bit. So why don't we look at having this solid infrastructures? What is driving everybody to want to stay in Maitama? I know you stay in Asokoro, but that's just a joke. In Asokoro, in Katampe,
Extension,
in Gusape. If you ask somebody, where are you staying? They say, I'm staying in Gusape. If you ask some other persons like us, or if you other persons say, are you staying in Lugbe? You say, Lugbe, I can't stay in Lugbe, it's too far from town. What are you doing in the town? Some of these people don't even have jobs. So let's talk about it. Is that something you're considering?
I would like to bring in, you've added an international twist to it. Let me come down to Nigeria. On Friday, I was in Kuje. We went for a sales promotion where I currently manage as an investment advisor, and I was shocked by the multitude of people commuting to work, because I got to Kuje early that Friday. I got there by 6. So because I had to set up to monitor the setup for my team, and so you'll be shocked by the numbers of people in Kuje that stays in Kuje and work in town. The road was jam-packed from that market square down to before you get to there was traffic. A lot of the traffic was one way. Everybody were going to town to go and resume. You see a lot of coastal buses. I was like, wow. So there are a lot of persons like this working in Kuje. Now, people don't want to stay in Kuje. Somebody like me would not want to stay in Kuje because I like comfort, right? I want to be able to jump on a train and get to where I'm going. I really don't like this stress, and I don't like driving. So even now, I use, this FCTA train a lot, this mass transit. I use it a lot. Now, the question is, these persons, they are going to work in the morning. They're already in traffic for minutes, for hours. They will be there, they will be stuck there, they will be tired, their productivity level will be reduced even before they get to work. Now, if our government are serious about decongesting the city center and reducing housing costs within this metropolis, all they need to do is connect satellite towns to the city center via train. Kuje to central area, Kubwa to central area, collaborate with Nasarawa state government, Maraba, Masaka, Nyanya to central area, Lugbe to central area, even Gwarimpa to central area. I bet you the prices housing prices in Apo, Gariki, Wuse, Gusape, Katampe, etc. will crash by 50%.
Right.
Because if I can stay in Kuje and I get to central area in 15 to 30 minutes in a comfortable AC train, there's no need for me to stress myself staying in the city. So I would rather stay there where I can afford with more space than staying in a one-room apartment within the city where it will be congested. So in our town planning laws, government need to revisit them and see what they can do to integrate satellite towns to send to the. But I want to speak one thing on what the current Ministry for Housing and Urban Development is currently doing under the leadership of architect Ahmed Dangiwa. I don't really necessarily praise government people, but I'm a critic, and when I see something good, I appreciate them. There's their slum upgrade that they are currently doing. I think that's another way to see how they can upgrade most of those slums so that when there are amenities in those slums, there is water, security, and people can live comfortably, there will be no need for them to come to the city center. But they should expand it to other areas and see how they can. See, the housing is an there's a need for cooperation. It's not only a thing for the Ministry for Housing alone. There's an aspect of technology that needs to be integrated there. There's an aspect of engineering, there's an aspect of works, there's an aspect of even health. So the ministry needs to collaborate with these many various government agencies and see how they can make affordable housing, for Nigeria. Another thing is that we are not leveraging on our local materials in construction. We need to have eco-friendly homes. We need to have the climate. There's a climate change,
buildings, right.
Green buildings. We are having Harmattan this year came like a fluke. We are not even seeing it. This is the first rain is falling in January. In my hometown, there's a storm, a rainstorm in January. It has never happened before, and this is because of climate change. And why do we have climate change? Because we are falling down trees, green areas. It's pathetic. In Abuja now, virtually all the green areas have been turned into residential. People are building, they are falling the trees, the lush gardens that we normally go to relax. Right. They are now being turned into residential places, right. And the government is quiet about it. And as a country that is serious about housing and the health, needs of the people, I think the government should, quickly respond to these issues and see that, because if Abuja was well planned, we've had series of ministers come in, preserve these green areas. We cannot afford as a nation or as a state capital to throw away our green areas for people to just come and build houses on.
Right, so let me now ask this. You've been in the formal sector, so you understand. Let's talk about how our employees set up standards so that if you are getting involved in a system, you have a housing scheme that is workable, because most employers are not doing that, and it's something that should be done, right? So somebody gets into a system, works for 5 years, there's no housing, nothing about housing, nothing, sometimes not even about pensions and all of that. Let's talk about that. But outside Nigeria, you see those systems ingrained in a lot of, especially for those in the formal sector. And even those in the informal sector, they have unions, right? And these unions have these systems, right? So if you are a mechanic, automobile technician, for instance, there's NATA, National Association of Automobile Technicians, which, these unions interface with those in the corporate sector, and that's the corporate face of the informal sector. But let's talk about we seem not to have little or no structure in those kind of systems in Nigeria.
Do you know what is wrong with us as a nation? We like to copy. We like to copy things a lot. We don't like to build our own system. We just want to copy what the Western world is doing. The mortgage system is working in Europe and in America. It's working perfectly well. Low interest rates, people can easily, get mortgage and everything. But the mortgage system is not working here in Nigeria because it's not our thing.
What is our thing?
Cooperatives.
We have some housing cooperatives.
Yes, of course. See, if not for housing cooperative, Mr. Obong, if not for housing cooperative, our housing crisis would have ballooned to about maybe more than 20 to 25%. I can give you like some housing cooperatives, government housing cooperatives in Abuja that I've personally consulted for and work with, and their members are getting houses. But it's not, before you be able to do that as a cooperative, to start as a surety for your member, you need to have some reserve funds. Do you get? And now the cooperative system needs to be strengthened. If the mortgage system is not solving our housing problem, what the government should do is to see how they can recapitalize some of those mortgage some of those cooperatives so that their members can afford houses. They are doing a lot. Now, for example, if cooperative A sets out a budget of, it has about 100 members, and they want to provide housing. I had one that I'm currently working with. They have close to about 300 members, and they want to provide houses for 100 of their members. We sat down, they said, okay, our budget is this per member. We have 1.5 million for the land. They will build, but if we are able to pay 1 million, we can go to site while they build. There are some things they will be able to negotiate, and developers will feel more comfortable dealing with cooperatives than individual, or even with mortgage people, right? Because for them, they believe that cooperatives are there to stay, and they have this large pool of funds that they can always, So what government should do is to strengthen these cooperatives, and even if to give 1% of our GDP to housing cooperatives, or any other cooperatives that want to build houses for their members. Just see what TED Fund is doing. If you go to every university, both private and government, you see a TED Fund project. So what government should do is strengthen the process and at least have a fund, a Nigerian fund, where this cooperative can get not free monies, but they can get maybe 2%, 3%, max 5% long-term finance for their members to be able to get. Then they will now pay. Instead of them to rely on members' contributions alone, it will expand their scope, and more people will come in and do. So government too, in the long run, will make money, maybe 5% of whatever they are giving out, probably for them to pay back in the next 10, 20 to 15 years. But they currently do not have that support. So most of those cooperatives, anything they do, they do it within the ambit of what their members can provide.
Right, absolutely, yeah. And that makes real sense. I'd like to also ask now about, let's talk about housing, how do you call it, banks. Mortgage banks. We have a few of them that I've also done some things with them. But you see them declaring profits at the end of the year. And you see some level of growth. They are growing. Who are their customers? And are people patronizing this mortgage bank? We have the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, which I know you know very well.
I may not be able to wear a wristwatch of 50 million or 200 million, right? But you've seen some Nigerians wearing wristwatches of 500 million, 200 million, 30 million. The people that sell this watch, they know their customers. So when the people that are currently patronizing Nigerian mortgage banks that give exorbitant interest rates, they are people who are politically exposed. Right. They are high network individuals, top business executive, the cream de la cream of the society, and also even developers who are under pressure to meet up with their customers' needs. They will still have to go back to those mortgage banks to collect money to build at exorbitant interest because they have nowhere to go. So they will definitely make profits because it's not everybody in Nigeria that's a poor person. We have people who. That's why we have the bourgeoisies and we have the proletariats. So they can afford to. Somebody can still afford to go to a mortgage bank, get a mortgage, and pay 30% or 20% or whatever interest on it, and we're able to pay back. Right. And even with these challenges, you can see that they are still making growth. This current administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when they came in, they recapitalized most of those mortgage banks. Most of them their books were already shaking. So this current administration recapitalized most of them. So they now have a place where they go to get funds and probably do more. And we must commend the current administration for that bold step.
Right. So let's talk about housing forums, housing engagements, where we have the stakeholders come together to speak and to plan plan. Do we have those kind of forums where they come together, yourself, and many other persons come together, sit down and plan way forward for the Nigerian housing sector?
Yes, there are. There are, but I feel Nigerians are not talking enough about housing. When we are going into an election year next year in 2027, and you keep hearing the normal rhetorics, I'm going to do roads, I'm going to do schools, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do... Nobody talks about housing. But housing is very, very critical, because if you don't have a decent shelter, you cannot drive on a road.
Right.
If you don't have a decent shelter, you cannot contribute meaningfully to national development. Right. If you don't have a decent shelter, you cannot function as a human being. So I believe that the housing equation in Nigeria has been relegated to the background. And as we are going into an election year, I'm using this opportunity to charge Nigerians that local government chairman that is coming to want to come and run your council, the councillor that is coming to say, I want to be a councillor, the houses of assembly members, senators, reps, governors, and even the president, ask them what is their housing needs. What are you doing to remove people from the street and give them affordable and decent shelters? By the time Nigerians keep asking this question, it's even very, very unfortunate, because young Nigerians have been alienated from the housing equation.
Somebody was even telling me
from the housing. Nobody thinks that, oh, young Nigerians, they need housing. It doesn't concern anybody. Nobody is talking about, and that's why we have high rate of crime. By the time you sit down, you want to pay a rent, and your rent. Currently, I actually want to move to a one-bedroom apartment in a place that is closer to my new office, because I told you earlier, I don't want to travel far, and they're giving me a budget of 2 million naira. And if you add up my salary, it means I'm going to be working like 6 months before I'll be able to afford that kind of amount of money without feeding. So how am I going to pay rent of that amount of money? And I will still be working. These are some of the things. So there are no plans. It's unfortunate, but I think it's not too late for the government to now begin to have a rest repair, to sit down and say, okay,
so somebody was telling me that even in the streets of New York, there are homeless people.
Yes. It's not only peculiar. No, it's not only peculiar to Nigeria. I like to be very, very blunt. In fact, most people don't like me in their programs because I'm very, very blunt. This issue of housing crisis is not peculiar to Nigeria. It's a global thing. Right. But other global powers are proffering solutions to most of those things. Right. And it pains me that we are not doing enough to see how we can curb these menace. And also, lastly, I think younger Nigerians should now begin to speak up. There are forums, there are housing communities that they can join. There are, forums that they can organize.
There are Twitter spaces.
Of course, there are Twitter spaces, and we do that most every week. And also, we follow it up with physical events. Last year, we did one for younger people who, because I'm a strong advocate for youth in housing. So I encourage younger people to see how they can invest, even as small, whatever it is, in housing. Last year we hosted them during our HMMG 1.0, and we will do that again. There are so many. But the question, Mr. Ubong, is young people are not getting enough support in the aspect of affordable shelter.
Yeah, I think there's also a problem with consciousness, because a lot of young people may feel that housing is not yet my thing. When it's time, I will get it, right? So I think we also have to start talking to people, to be conscious that from the time you're out of the university, you should start planning on getting your own
housing. Housing is not just about shelter. Right. It's about personal dignity.
Right.
It's not just about, okay, I have a place to stay, or I bought a land, or I have a house. Housing encompasses a whole lot of things.
Right.
Housing is when you want to rent. Okay, I don't have money to buy. Let me rent. I cannot rent. Okay, let me buy land. in Lokogoma, I cannot buy. And I say, okay, let me travel all the way to Karishi in Nasarawa. I go and buy land. Okay, I bought in Karishi. It's affordable. Only 1.5 million, 2 million naira, or 500k, 600k. Okay, I bought in Karishi and I want to build. I have a land now. I want to build. But you cannot build because you don't have the means. You don't have the mortgage. You cannot pay the mortgage. Even with NHF and MREF and all of that, by the time you do the math, you still cannot afford it. So what can you do?
So that's what I'm saying, because if a lot of persons are conscious early enough, you have more years. For instance, if you are getting an MREF at 7% and your workable year is still like 25%, you can do it off in 18 years.
How much is the property?
If the property is 17 million.
It's going to be very difficult for you to get a property of 17 million within Nigeria. Let me tell you how MREF work. You would get a developer, or you will say, okay, I've seen a house. This is the amount of, this is the valuation of the house. The house is a 2-bed. You will not even get a condo because Nigerian developers are not interested in building condos, apartments because of the earlier reasons I highlighted. Now, by the time you get there, they'll tell you, okay, this house is 22 million for 2-bedroom. They will now give you a bill and everything. Now go to MREF. The MREF, that 22.2, they will check your salary. What are you earning? Now, how many young Nigerians earns more than 300,000? That's the question you should ask.
So as we end the program now, I'd like to ask, is there hope for young Nigerians? Is there hope for Nigerians to have affordable housing?
Yes, there is. If there is a conscious effort by the relevant stakeholders. I believe that the Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, REDAN, is sleeping. I don't think they are doing enough. Sorry to say that, but they are not doing enough. Because REDAN need to serve as a pressure group.
Right. Advocacy.
Advocate for what is paining, what is inching their member. I'm not a member of REDAN though, but they need to sit down with their members and discuss the way for what is pinching you. Why is it that when you want to get land to build, you are paying 500 million in Abuja or in Lagos? You are paying millions and billions of naira to get a land title. Why is it so? What can we do to interface on your behalf to see how government can reduce most of those encumbrances? They are not doing that. They are just interested in their members to come and pay their monthly membership, this thing, do seminars and all of that. So REDAN should up their game and see how they can secure the interests of their members that are within the sector. And also land titling. You will see sometimes a CFO document will sit in the front of a governor for more than 2 years. Why are they not signing? So these are some of the issues. And if you don't get a land title, you cannot build. It's very land. If we solve the problem of land, land allocation, land titling, acquisition, all of those things, we will solve 40% of this housing crisis. And REDAN need to be on the forefront of that advocacy. And unfortunately, they are not. And also, Nigerians are not putting enormous pressure on the government to create an enabling environment for them for the private sector to thrive. So we need to do most of those things. And also, we need to reach out to our diaspora investors to see how they can invest. How they can invest. You can see how they are investing in roads. They will build toll gate. You see this Abuja Makurdi, PPP arrangement. We still need to bring most of those arrangements to the housing sector. But a lot of persons are afraid that the Nigerian housing sector is enmeshed in corruption, is enmeshed in deceit and fraud, and it's a no-go area. But I think it's not. But if they come in and they do due diligence and they do the needful, I think Nigeria is a very, very cool place to live in.
Right. Thank you so much, Adamu Suleiman, co-founder, Housing Matters Community. Thank you so much for speaking to us about making housing affordable for Nigerians. We hope that housing will become affordable as we move into the future for all Nigerians. Thank you so much. And this is where we end the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, people, that's the size of this particular segment. My colleague comes next with the next segment. Stay with us.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
All right, so welcome back. And this is where we need to talk about something that is very, very important. And that is one sport that I love so much, and that is running. Ha! I love to run. I love to run. I love when you are just running and you have your headphones on, and you know, it's a physical activity. It helps you burn calories. It helps you get in shape. It helps you stay fit, right? And somebody could say fit as a fiddle. Remember that rhyme that we used to say when we were back then in secondary school, fit as a fiddle. And one of the things that helped us so much was because we understood what running is and how it helps us, all right? So in today's world where we get so busy and sometimes we could forget about doing exercise or anything, we need to constantly put ourselves to exercise, because we know how exercise is useful. Exercise will help us to maintain our blood level. Exercise will help us to burn calories. Exercise will help us to stay in shape. It will help our heart. It will help our body, our kidneys, our skin to secrete. Exercise is just very good for you, right? So, and running is something that you can do at the comfort in your house. You don't need to buy any equipment. You just need some space, right? You can run from here to there and get back. So for our weekends, we would like to keep advising that if there's something you can do with your family, you enjoy running with your family, running with your friends, running on weekends. You can even do it in the morning before you get to work. You get active, you know. You don't need to, you can just do 100 meters, right? You can do 100 meters, you can do 200 meters, you can do 400 meters every morning. Wake up by 5, just do a little bit of running, come back, take your beds before you head out to work. You feel so strong and powerful. You see the energy just come through your body, surging as you're able to go around and do what you need to do. All right, so it is important that we get to get physical with our bodies and get up to do the things that we have to do, and one of those things is running. So it is very important. So you could see a young man on the screen with that earphones on. He has his headphone on. He has his timer, and he is running. So running is also a sport for those who want to run. You can run to, I know somebody that cannot even run to save her life, and she just got into the studio now. All right, so you need to put up this and see how you can exercise, get all the energy you want, and get all the strength you want by running. All right, so until we come your way again next week with another very interesting sports, just get physical, get running, get those nice sneakers, right? I'm not mentioning any company's name, but there's one company, I love their sneakers, but I'm not going to mention because I'm not doing marketing. Get those very fine sneakers and get active, get to run, and get to put all of the energy. So Sadia will come with the next segment. So just stay with us. Global Morning continues. My name is Upong Soro. See you soon.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Good morning and welcome to Global Morning on Global Television Abuja, the place where stories come alive, ideas spark, and the moment that matters takes center stage. I am Sadia Yakubu, and I'll be your host for the next few minutes. DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channels 276. You can also watch on YouTube using the Global TV NG. On today's episode of the program, we will be talking or discussing about coping, adjusting, and overcoming unemployment in our country with my special guest, who is also a colleague in the media field. He is a journalist too, in person of Muhammad Lawal, and also a brother and a good friend. Yes. Good morning, and nice having you on Global Morning Weekend Edition. Please, can you introduce yourself to our guests?
Good morning, Halima, and good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, the world, wherever you're viewing from. I want to correct you. well, you didn't. You said my name, but you didn't add the Paiko to it. No. So allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Muhammad Lawal Paiko, also a young broadcaster journalist as well.
All right. Unemployment simply means a situation in which people want to work and are capable of working do not have the job and have tried to get jobs by applying multiple times, even though they are actively looking for one. In simple terms, it means being without a job despite wanting and trying to get one. So let's get down to business. Let's first look at the background and context. How long have you been unemployed?
Well, if I want to be honest with you right now, I wouldn't say I was unemployed for a long period of time. Just that while I started my career as a young broadcast journalist then, because let me be honest with you, this is a computer scientist turned journalist. So you can imagine. So when I started my journey then, I worked with a media house for a year plus, and okay, something happened. I left the media house. You know how the country can be, pressure from family, pressure from friends, and regardless, that was what I wanted to do initially. Well, to cut the long story short, I was in the bank for a year time. And you know how working in the bank can be. I don't know if you have the experience, but for people that have worked in the bank, I'm not trying to, put another image to the people working in the bank, but it's just not my thing. So I was, off the job for a period of time. Let me just say 6 months then. And while I was off for that 6 months, I happened to get myself back. I was doing a lot of self-learning, a lot of self-reading. I was engaging myself, going out to play sport as well, keeping myself engaged. And during that process, that was when I realized the fact that, look, instead of you sitting down at home, unemployed, how about you go back to what you feel you wanted to do initially? But the shame of, okay, I left that place and I went to another organization. So coming back to that same organization, you know how young people do their things and how we all can relate to how things roll. I was like skeptical about going to where I was working before, but I had no choice because that passion was in me, that drive to want to do what I want to do better, create a better version of myself regardless of the challenges. So I had to go back. So I'll just say I was unemployed for just like 6 months, and that was it.
All right, so coping stages and strategies. What are the main challenges that most Nigerians face as an unemployed persons in the country?
Well, let me start with the society at large, where we find ourselves today, the country where we find ourselves. It's not longer your certificate. It's the skill you have, the skill you can, give out. What do you have to offer to the table? What are you bringing? In fact, anybody that wants you to be on board in maybe, let's say, any organization or company you are aiming to work for, or any firm you have in mind you want to join or you want to work for, definitely your skills matter. And then coupled to the fact that as a Nigerian, let me be honest with you right now. There's what we call I tell people we have this national weak identity as young Nigerians. Why do I say so? It's because, okay, the country has made it look like that in the sense that, for instance, hypothetically speaking, I am coming from. You know, the only time a Nigerian person is a Nigerian is when I pick up my passport and I want to fly to maybe the USA or the Canada. That is when I'll proudly look at you and tell you, look, I'm a Nigerian. And what is making me bring this example is, okay, going to the airport now as a normal Nigerian person. Let me take you there. You come as a normal Nigerian person with your Nigerian passport, and then you met, for instance, a immigration officer who is supposed to, you know, check what you have, your belongings, to make the processes swift for you. But why I'm raising this is that officer now, paraventurally, or let me say hypothetically speaking, pick your passport. When he looks at it, you know, I made mention of Paiko added to my name as well.
Yeah.
I know you're looking at your time, so I'll just make it brief. The whole thing I want you to understand from this whole story is that, look, before somebody will consider you a Nigerian, he will look at where you are from. How are you related? For example, oh, I look at your passport. This is Halima Yakubu Yahya from Kogi. Oh, Kogi, you're my sister. So we'll forget that national identity of being a Nigerian. So I will treat you better than other person in the airport because why? You are from the same place as I am from as well, which is actually, you know, a contributory factor to why young people suffer unemployment in Nigeria, because it's not based on, you know, merit again. It's based on favorism and affiliation. Go and tell him I sent you is far better than your PhD and, you know, and your degree, but it's only going to get better, inshallah.
Amen. So what do you think an unemployed person can meet up with their, do you think an unemployed person can meet up with their basic needs, like food, house rents, and medical bills?
They can.
How?
I will say they can because this is 2026 already.
Yeah.
We're in a digital age. You know, there are jobs you could do online and get paid, you know, instead of using the technology negatively. There are other positive ways you can, you know, get rewarded as a person who is using the internet. I don't know, monetize your social media, go out there. We have content creators everywhere right now.
Yeah.
Do you know, as a content creator, you start gradually. Is it something you want to do? Don't do it because you are pressured because, oh, everybody is doing content creation and you want to do it. Just take your time, understand the person you are, understand what you want to do, and the technology is there, the tools. I want to say every other tool a young Nigerian person need is out there. It's just left for us to, you know, utilize those tools and put them into use. So as a young person, it's either you do content, you sell things online. I have people on my WhatsApp, and I'm sure you do too, selling stuffs on their stories, you know, posting what they sell, items they sell. At this point, I don't feel like every one of us has to be employed at the end of the day, because if you look at the rate of how many million graduates do we have in the country right now, talk more of the people in school, not to talk about the ones that have graduated years back before us. So it's something you should put into consideration. Look at how creative people can be right now. Crack jokes, make people laugh, monetize it, you know, go out there, play football, you know, involve yourself in activities you feel you can do. For me, I would advise anybody, in fact, if you come from where I'm coming from, you know, it's not easy to do what we're doing, but regardless, we choose to want to be the people we want to be. No matter the pressure coming from your friends, no matter the pressure coming from your family, you should know what you are capable to do and what you will be able to do. And when you need somebody to talk to, as a Nigerian, I'm talking out of experience, please talk to somebody. There's no big deal in talking to people. You know, Nigerians, we have this mentality of ideology of saying, you are a Nigerian, you are a guy especially, you're supposed to man up, internalize every other thing that is disturbing you, and you don't get a chance to express yourself. But if you have the opportunity to, please talk to somebody. It's always help.
All right. What coping strategies would you recommend for people to use in dealing with financial stress?
Well, in dealing with financial stress, and what works for me, I wouldn't say it will work for any other person, but if I'm to advise any other person watching this morning, is that just cut your coat according to your size. You know, don't be pressured. I was brought up in a house that, for instance, I saw this wristwatch from you, and I tell my mom, oh, look, I saw this wristwatch from Sadia and I like it. Please, can you know, get me this kind of wristwatch from the house I'm coming from? That is the wristwatch you will never wear. if it's the house that is going to pay for the wristwatch. So you should be contented with whatsoever you have. And you should have this at the back of your mind that there are processes to everything.
Yeah.
Do you know, most of the young Nigerian people right now feel you can just come from the scratch and boom, you'll make it. People like Dangote, if they should tell you the stories of how they started, the struggles they went through before they get to where they are now. And then one thing again, which is affecting young people, especially Gen Zs, let me use that word, you know, comparison. We're always on the internet, looking at the lifestyles of Wizkid, looking at the lifestyles of Davido. I shouldn't say you shouldn't have a role model, but channel your energy towards making yourself a better version of yourself, rather than, you know, comparing yourself and putting pressure on yourself. So just take it easy, just do what you can do beyond your power, and leave the rest to God.
All right, talking about pressuring yourself, how do you manage emotional or psychological stress related to unemployment?
Well, emotional and psychological, just like I said, I made mention of some of the things that helped me then, because I can't lie, I was pressured at some point too. You know, the pressure coming from family, the pressure coming from friends. You are still at home. Like, what are you doing? And they won't understand the level at which how many job interviews you have tried. Like, let me tell you something. Okay, me now, talking to you right now, there was a time I came to the FCD without a place for me to spend the night just because I want to go for a job interview. But that's story for the gods, you know. It is what it is, and that's why we're hustlers.
Is it safe for me to say you slept under the street?
I don't want
under the bridge?
Why did you choose to say this online? So, but regardless, it's still part of our story, you know. It's what makes us stronger. And believe me, if nobody say I did tell you now, you never can know, you know, that happened. And that's just a part of the story, you know. Just take it easy on yourself. And if you feel stressed mentally, it's because you're always isolated. Isolation doesn't help. That's why I made mention of when you need to talk to somebody, you talk to somebody, regardless of how private you feel you're living your life. You know, some people seem to tag themselves as introvert, which doesn't help. So how would you be an introvert and something is disturbing your peace of mind? You can't find somebody to talk to. But I don't want to blame anybody. It's just because of the place we find ourselves. But we young people, you know, that are coming up right now, we want to believe we are changing the narrative already. So please talk to somebody. There's always a mental health advocate out there who you can always talk to. And yes, sport. For me, I was never a football lover. The only time I sit down on the screen watching football is when Nigeria is playing against another country. But during that period, you know, instead of staying back, you know, isolating myself and going through pressure, I was reading a lot of books. I was doing a lot of self-learning, you know, and at the end of the day, I was just, you know, talking to people. Before, I used to be this person that, I don't feel free around people, but like now, you know, talking to people really helped me, you know, in finding myself better. And also, I started watching football. I became a Manchester United fan, and you know how, you know, if you're a football fan, you know how fun it is when guys are always on the screen watching football. So that helps. I'm not saying you should do what you know I did that helped me, but something that will ease your pressure. If it's reading, you love reading, go back to your books and read. I was never a fan of reading back in school, you know, but like, okay, growing up and knowing I need these things. I never even knew I need them, not until when I started opening books and reading, and then I find them very interesting. And most times, when I'm bored, when I'm pressured, I probably go to watch football, or take a new book and read, well, or listen to the Quran.
All right, so do you think unemployed persons receive support from family, friends, religious group, or community organizations?
It will... For me, I would say, you know, family do support. It all depends from the family you are from. Family supports. But regardless, you shouldn't depend on any other person for your survival. They are also doing the most for their own survival. Everybody has one or two things, you know, bothering them. So for me, I'm always a go-getter. So instead of, you know, always calling people, I grew up, never had anybody to, you know, cater for what I want to do. So I was always the type that I always want to go out there, you know, get it done myself regardless. Only when it gets tough, and I call the closest person to me, which is my mom. She's always there. And I want to believe every young person has that one person that he or she can always rely on. It's not easy regardless. The government, again, can do better. You know, they are doing the most. But in the times where we have, you know, I want us to look at it from this perspective. If you look at other advanced countries, we have, you know, maybe let's say relief funds for unemployed people, but there's a lot to talk about when it comes to that aspect, because when will we start doing that? Even if we were doing it, is it getting to the right people? You know? Okay, for instance, the government is saying we have funds for unemployed people. This is the agency concerned to do that. Before it gets down to the unemployed person who is supposed to benefit from that, it's another whole lot of stories. So I'm sure the government have, you know, policies that are put in place to ease young people's pressure. But nevertheless, you as a young person that knows what you can do, that know that, this is 2026. For how long will you sit down and be waiting for the government to come do something for you? You know, so it's a two-way thing. You just go out there, find something to do, and let me tell you one thing that is affecting young people, which I believe is one of the contributory factor. You see, we tend to look at some businesses as, me as a graduate, I get first class. Imagine me going to be a POS agent. Imagine me going to be a restaurant's waiter, you know. Imagine me going to start up a small-scale business. Regardless, you never can tell. Just start up something, you know. But we always have that mindset of we don't want to start small. We just want something big. And it's not everybody that is business minded. Give me and you 25 million now. The way I would go about my 25 million is not the same way you go about your 25 million. So it's better you know yourself better. For me now, if you're asking me, come do business, I would rather keep you to do business for me and fund you because I know myself. So that's one thing. It helps a lot. So please just find something doing and never underestimate the hustle, you know?
All right, talking about finding something to do. Skill development and adaptation is what we're going to talk about now. Have you learned any new skills since becoming unemployed?
Well, I did. I learned a lot of skills. You know, I'm somebody who is curious, always want to try new things. While I was working as a broadcast journalist then from my office, I was opportune to attend a workshop, and then the workshop was talking about how we can venture into content creation as, you know, journalists. And then after that workshop, I went back and I was like, wow, this whole thing is not as if it's a new thing for me who has, you know, been in the media industry. It's just for me to find my niche, work on it, and learn how to make it better. So during that period, I had to, you know, go through a lot of accounts, listen to a lot of people, watch a lot of content, and from there, I was able to pick up something I can also use as content, you know, to feed my audience with. And that's one skill that has been helpful today. And not only being a broadcast journalist, I'm also a creative director at C9 Autos here in Abuja. So.
All right, so what type of skills do you think are most important for gaining employment in Nigeria today?
The type of skill is, I think the young people these days, the skill I would advise for every young person out there to venture into real quick is how you all can see how fast technology is growing. And for me, who is a computer scientist, will tell you, you know, technology is the next oil money. So anything you're doing, resonate it to how you can use it positively. We have a lot of young people using the internet negatively, you know, bullying people online, cybercrime up and down, you know, EFCC arresting young people just because they're involved in fraudulent activities and all of that. But regardless, just utilize it, you know, and then make it useful for yourself as well.
So what barriers do you think prevent some Nigerians from acquiring new skills?
Well, just like I said earlier, okay, for instance, me, myself, if I knew this was how the whole thing is going to look like at the end of the day, while I was growing up, I would have, you know, pick up one skill or the other. But regardless, it's never too late for you to pick up a skill. regardless, no matter how little you can just, start, just go there, give it your all, your determination, your time, and then forget what every other person will say, because they will always say something. And it's not as if the people that will come and see something will feed you or pay your bills or put a plate of food on your dining table, Just it's you versus you at the end of the day. So please, the skills are a lot out there. We have a lot of them that you can just easily venture into. It's just for you to sit back, relax, study your environment, study your society, know what you can do, how good can you do it. Even if you can't do it, if it's something you want to learn from the scratch, you can do it. Google is there. YouTube is very accessible. Learning is very, very easy. I did a lot of self-learning on YouTube that has been very, very helpful. A lot of things. You can just go online. If you're, maybe you have something you have in mind, just go there. With your smartphones, when you click, it will guide you through how you can go through those processes. And before you know it, practice makes perfect. Yes.
So how confident are Nigerians' ability to compete in the current job markets?
Well, for me, one funny thing, right? The funny thing about Nigerians is that no matter where you see a Nigerian person out there, is always doing wonderfully well.
Yeah.
Just give a Nigerian a platform and see the wonders he can perform. So if we are to compete with other, I used to tell people that globally, from my own little research and understanding, I want to believe Nigerian youths are one of the most peaceful and patient youth in the world, regardless of whatsoever. We're always peaceful. We're always keeping up to want to be a better version of ourselves. I believe we can always, do better. And when we hit the international market, it's going to be different. When a Nigerian is in place, a Nigerian is in place. So to compete, it will not be very difficult. So no matter what, just strive, give it your all, and the sky will always not just be the limit, but a starting point.
All right, still on job search and economy adjustments, what methods do you think can be used to search for jobs? Online, online platform, networking, walk-in, etc.?
Yes, networking, just like you said, it helps. Just that the problem I am looking at these days is just like we discussed earlier. As a Nigerian, as a young person, even if you see these jobs online, what people will tell you is that if before even applying, they don't know who they want to give the job to.
Yeah.
So it's more like you now that is applying at the end of the day are coming to entertain the interviewers. So a lot of discouragement coming from scenarios like that. But regardless, you can always hop on the social media platforms. We have social media platforms that are very professional, like LinkedIn. You can always get job opportunities there. You can always network with professional people there, and other social media platforms. The tools are just out there. It's just depending on how you network, you connect with people. Like I've seen people from Nigeria who do business in Nigeria, and they are relating, transacting, trading with people from the outside world that they have not even met. As a result of this technology, and how you can as well put it in place to use it to get yourself busy and all of those things. Well, that's just the only thing. Go out there, network with people, not just people people that matters. If it's warrant, you go into conferences, medias where you can see people that can help. God will not come from heaven and help you. It has to take the grace of God for somebody to come through and help you. And regardless, just like I always tell people, and I have said that also earlier on the program, the skill, it matters a lot. The skill, it matters a lot. Forget your certificate. If it's not working out, you might be at home for 5 years with a certificate and it's not even going to work. It's not as if you're not qualified for the job, but most times it's because you don't have anybody related in the place you're trying to apply for jobs, or because you don't know anybody that knows somebody who is supposed to be the HR in the office where you are applying for jobs. So regardless, just go out there, network, and by the grace of God, it's only gonna get better, inshallah.
What challenges do you face in starting a business or becoming self-employed?
Okay,
that's a personal question.
For me?
For you.
Okay, let me see. I think the problem now, let's say for me now, I told you from the beginning, I'm not a business-minded person regardless, but even if, for example, I intend to want to do business now, I feel like the challenges most people face is, okay, for instance now, I start up a small, medium enterprise, and then I want to go into jewelries, for instance. I have my jewelries I bought, I want to now come and sell for you. Halima, you know me, I know you very well. You can decide to just, okay, I like this jewelry, I want to purchase it. Let me get it. But please, you have to hold on till the end of the month.
Yeah.
Do you know? Factors like that. So, the end of the month go come reach, me and you go come dey drag for waiting you suppose give me. So those things, you know, it's not helpful. Instead of, you know, growing the business again, you end up, you know, collapsing the whole thing. And that aside, one factor that matters, that affects, which is a very, very, one of the top most contributory factor is, for instance, I have two phones, one made in China and one made in Nigeria by me. For instance, I have a tech company and I bring these two phones to you, Halima, and say, okay, look, this phone is made in China and this one is made in Nigeria by my company. Behold, the normal Nigerian person, me and you know, we'll first look at the made in China first. Why? Because they feel, oh, as a Nigerian, I can't be able to invent something like this, or my own is not going to be as good as, you know. We've seen scenarios where you buy, something is being made at the back of your house, but they go tag and made in China because they want you to buy. So I feel like we need to be supportive. The community, the community, the people around us need to be supportive. If I wake up today and say, oh, look, I want to start up a business, people around me should be able to support me and help me grow my business. They should be able to see the good in what I'm doing, if what I'm doing is really good. A normal Nigerian person, we have a company in Nigeria, Innoson, that, you know, does vehicles, and you know, they are into vehicles and all of those things. But I've seen people come, for instance, okay, how about we go for this, because this is made in Nigeria, you know, you can easily get the parts and you can easily do this and do that because it is made in Nigeria. No, made in Nigeria, before 6 months, it will collapse. Like stories like that, discouraging stories like that. So we need to, you know, be supportive and very, very encouraging as well. If you choose to do a business, I should be able to encourage you. If I want to support you, I should support you the same way I'm supporting somebody who is doing business that I don't know. I might decide to buy what I want from somebody I don't know, and I'm not going to take credit because that person is not going to give me for credit, you know. Well, because I know you now, I'll now come and say, okay, please, let's do it. I won't even have to tell you, let's do it family. You go first give me, then I will have to keep it to myself, and then we'll now come and later settle. I know the country is hard, it's not easy, you know, you can decide to do maybe installments, payments, if that's okay by the person who is in charge of the business. But we should be able to support ourselves, be encouraging, and promote our businesses as well.
All right, talking about promoting ourselves. So now we'll be moving to overcoming unemployment. What do you believe are the major causes of unemployment in our country? Major
causes of unemployment? Well, that's a beautiful question, you know. The major causes is one thing. The number one factor, we have a lot of them, but the number one factor that is stopping the list is, the rate at which we have, you know, young people out there that are graduates, and the people who wants to now employ, it's not as if they will tell you there's not enough jobs. So it's better for you, because let me tell you something. While I was during my NYC days, that was 2019, in the camp, I camped in Yobe State then. We did this little drama that always, you know, flashback. It has always been in my head. And the drama, I don't know if I can share with you real quick. So it's just more like all about unemployment, like what we are talking about right now this morning on the TV. You know, they're just like, okay, in normal African settings, there is an akara that we're supposed to fry. And then there's, you know, a oil on the fire. And then there was this, you know, the beans cake that was already grinded. So the drama was all about, oh, you see this grinded, what's it called, beans that we're supposed to make beans cake with. Those are the amount of people in school that are still studying. And then the ones we're able to fry from the fire, we had another basket aside, and then we were putting it in the basket. Those baskets, the ones going to the basket, are the graduates that are done in school that are now coming to the basket. And then the ones, on the fire again are the students you're cooking. So you can imagine the numbers of graduates already fried and done.
Yeah.
Then you now that is cooking, and other people that are even not yet there, that are trying to get there. So you see, it's not as if the opportunity is always there, but regardless of how little, how limited the opportunity is, you should always, utilize the small opportunity you get and all of that. Never take any opportunity for granted as well.
All right, what personal strategies do you believe can help overcome unemployment?
Personal strategy that can help overcome. I feel you should believe in yourself. Believe you can do it. Never feel so down to want to try new things. I can decide to see an advert on the TV talking about an opening that I am interested in. And because, you're my friend and I want advice from you, and I'll be like, I saw this advert on the TV, can I go try it? What do you think? The person will be like, why do you want to go and do this? Do you think you can do this? And you are the person who think and believes you can do this. So the advice coming from your friend will tell you, are you sure you can do this? But although advice are good, but you should be able to know what you can do and give it a try. It's better for you to, fail and stand up again. Try. There's no harm in trying. No matter how long it will take you, just keep on trying and get the right things done. I believe mistakes are there for us to learn lessons.
Yeah.
So true.
How can private organizations or NGOs better support unemployed Nigerians?
Well, private organizations and NGOs are doing the most. They can do better, I believe, because I am sure I know a lot of NGOs that are very open for young Nigerians to be on board, and even if they are not permanently employed, they get small incentives, to support the people working for them. And then the private organization as well should be open for young people who are creative, that want to, even if it's a voluntary service, there's no harm in doing that, Once you're good, for instance, you started to, volunteer for maybe a firm or any organization you're interested in, from your dedication, from the zeal, from every other thing you're putting, just because you want to acquire that thing, will make those people to want to, oh no, this person is they go consider you are a very serious person. Yeah. When you're serious, you don't need to, you don't need to tell somebody you are serious. They will see reason why you should be on board. So in cases like that, private organizations should be open for, volunteers to come in, and even if it's a stipend, support them with it. It's never too bad to do that. So at least encourage them to want to keep up and do more, regardless of how passionate one is about whatsoever he or she wants to do. At the end of the day, Bella no get show glass. You will still want, you will still want chop. So.
So personally, me, I started as a volunteer. I volunteered for months. Okay. But alhamdulillah, today I'm here.
So you can imagine. Yeah. Let me tell you one thing. While I started my own journey of becoming a broadcast journalist, I was working for 4 years. Those 4 years, I can tell you, Halima, I was never working. I was just learning. Yeah. Because I never studied anything related to mass communication. Okay, because I'm in Nigeria now and I came back as a graduate. There's no job for me as a computer scientist, but I have the zeal, I have the mindsets, I have, that passion for wanting to do what I am doing today.
Yeah.
So I was never too focused on how much they were even paying me, because I was learning.
Yeah.
I was actually learning. All through those years, I was learning. It wasn't easy. You could be in the studio and your MD will come. The way he go scream, that's just life for you. There are sometimes I'll wake up, I'll decide not to want to go to that place again, but something in me keeps driving me. Oh, come.
Go.
There's something there. Just go. You don't start already, so what's there? Why are you stopping today? So regardless of the challenges, the pressure, regardless of how it was. Sometimes from where I was working, I sometimes trek back home. and nobody knows, just me and my God.
Yeah.
And regardless, it's paying off now, alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So we can't complain. So you see, it's just good. And
Yeah, it's just good.
and
So what advice would you give to other Nigerians currently facing unemployment?
Well, the advice is always, first, you should never wait for the government to get you employed, or you should never wait for, let's not say, anybody, all of us cannot be, employed. All of us cannot be in the white collar space, we can't be in the white collar job. So it's the earlier you understand that, the better for all of us. And then, the earlier one learn a skill or start to get to learn a skill, the better for every young person out there. Just get something to learn, get something to do, something you're passionate in doing. Once you're passionate about doing something, you don't find it stressful. You always want to wake up in the morning to go and do that same thing because you're passionate about it. So just find yourself, do what you love, do what makes you happy, and there's nothing happier than getting paid from doing what you love.
So how hopeful are you about the future employment prospect of some Nigerians?
Well, hopefully we'll all get there someday. But to be honest, if I'm trying to be honest with you, it's not fair. But hopefully, yes, I have this belief that one day it's all going to be better. I always want to tell people, don't feel discouraged. The country we are always complaining about is the only country we have, me and you. Regardless of how you want to tour the world, you always come back and tell any other person I am in Nigeria. So
yeah.
That's just, in Nigeria we're better, inshallah.
Inshallah. What do you think keeps optimistic despite the challenges of unemployment?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
What do you think keeps optimistic despite the challenges of unemployment?
Despite the challenges, a lot of people, that pressure is what they can actually absorb. Right. And then that period where you are there trying to struggle to get something to do, a lot of thoughts will be coming to your mind. So it's just for you to always get something that will always take your mind off how I was actually in a very dark spot during that 6-month period I told you.
Yeah.
But it was very easy for me to navigate because I had something to keep me busy.
Yeah.
Don't stay back and say, no, come, look, I'm always at home. I don't have something to do. That's when, you start thinking about things you're not supposed to think of. You start venturing into, a bad habit you're not supposed to even venture into. We've seen people, because of the pressure, jump into drug abuse, related issues like that. But regardless, just find something doing and keep yourself engaged.
All right, what one change would you improve employment outcome in Nigeria?
Well, one change is I want every other person watching, wherever you're watching from, if you are in the position to do that, you should never consider, affiliations or favorism. Once somebody is qualified, please do the needful. We should have the fear of God in our hearts, because I'm actually telling you the reality that I believe maybe some people will not be able to tell you, but that's the fact. So we should keep there's this identity, I say, just like I made mention the other time, we should have this strong national identity, forgetting the ethnic, ethno-religious identity we tag ourselves with. When we have the national identity come first, I look at you as a Nigerian, you look at that person as a Nigerian, you also look at that person as a Nigerian, give him this position because he is, qualified for it, put this person in this position because he is the right person for this job, not because, he knows the MD, or no, the HR brought him, or no, the, consultant's brother is the one who is supposed to take the job and stuff like that. Just that, and that's okay. We're going to get better, inshallah.
Inshallah. So finally, before I let you go, what opportunities do you think exist in Nigeria that are often overlooked?
Opportunities like it's just go down to the social media thing again, because there's no way you want to take out that out of what is happening right now. That's where a lot of people gain the audience they deserve, gain the publication they deserve, and people that know how to run about this fame. It's very, very helpful. So never underestimate or never, underlook the power of the social media. Just get to know how you want to use the social media. If you're a very productive person, put it out there. If you're a very creative person, just keep creating. Put it out there. You never can tell who is watching. One day somebody might just pick up interest in what you have been doing 5 years back. Just consistency is the thing. Yeah. Never give up. Once you believe in whatsoever you started, keep doing it. And one day, I'm telling you, it's going to be like
so before you go,
a dream.
Before we call it
a day?
Before we say goodbye, before we call it a day, what advice do you have for our viewers and some of the unemployed youths in Nigeria?
Well, viewers, I want to say thank you again, once again, for giving me the opportunity to do this as a young person in Nigeria. And my advice goes to every other young person out there: try as much as you can not to be pressured by your friends. I know it's not easy to deal with pressure, but try as much as you can to know what you want, to what you want, to know where you're from, and to know where you're going to. And yes, of course, we should not sit back and fold our hands to say, oh, look, we're waiting for the government, or we are waiting for a bigger offer from the NNPC, a bigger offer from the FIRS, ministries and departments that we all know a lot of people are chasing. Yeah. So please, no matter how little you want to start, just start off something for the unemployed, regardless. Even if it's a barbing salon, even if it's a laundry shop,
Get something doing.
I'm telling you, get something doing. There's somebody close to my office where I work. We're just randomly. The person is a chef, but it's not as if he's a professional chef. He's just having this small chaos, doing his thing all the way from Jos. And he's feeding his family, he's living well. And I was jokingly asking my colleague, he was the one even telling me, did you know this person is a graduate? I said, wow, I'm not going to be surprised, because I've seen graduate come clean my shoes. Yeah. It's never too bad for you to start something. Yeah, so just please get something, start up somewhere, no matter how little. Just believe in the process, trust in the process. Rome wasn't built in a day. Yeah. And one thing that helps, that I want to advise young people, is your circle. If you choose to have a circle, please have a circle that you all have a mindset of, you want to build a generational wealth together, not the kind of mindset, not the kind of circle that will pressure you to go and get an iPhone 17 because, everybody on the circle, yes, I'm telling you, everybody on the circle is using an iPhone 17. Or what's trending? What are we getting next? Instead of thinking of how to make your future, better, how to, have a better, proper plan for yourself and for the family as well. Just know where you're coming from and be a good ambassador of your family. Thank you.
All right, so that's where we'll come to the end of the program for today. I want to sincerely appreciate you, Muhammad Lawal.
Thank you very much,
Halima. A friend and a colleague, for coming to the studio and talking to us about unemployment and how we go about it.
It's actually a pleasure to be here, and I am always welcome to come and talk to the young people out there. I am a youth ambassador. So
all right, we hope the conversations and stories we shared inspired you and gave you something to think about. If you missed any part of the show, you can catch up the full episode on YouTube using our Global TV NG. Join us next week again at the same time as same station for more insight, more voices, and more stories that matters. I am Sadia Yakubu, once again on behalf of the entire production team, saying thank you for watching. Until next week, stay safe, stay focused, and bye for now.
Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.